What is up? What is up? Welcome back to Five Stars, 5 Points, where we go over the five biggest points that Five Star has to make for our college football betting weekend. And then, of course, get into the Five Star Play of the Week. Five Star, quite a week for you this week, as I heard you on ESPN 97.5. How did that appearance go? And, what do you have planned for that?
Oh man, it was great. Shout out to the bench, Lance Erline, John Granado. Me and Lance go back a while. Great guys, man. I had a great time on there. We talked a lot of shop about football, college football. My thing. We talked about some of the games that we're gonna discuss today coming up for this weekend. So it's really exciting. I'm looking to come back on there soon with those guys.
Yeah, and I hope so too, because as sports gambling gets more and more popular, it's nice to see ESPN moving away from just kind of the hot takes and
Yeah.
arguing over LeBron's legacy and really getting into actionable information, right? So it was fantastic to hear you there, and hopefully we'll hear you again soon. We talked about, Five Stars Play of the Week. Last week couldn't have gone any better than expected, right? A little slow start, but we knew we were on the right side because Notre Dame was moving the ball up and down the field the first half, and then finally, broke
Right.
the water and came through in the second half. How did you feel about that game and your pick, and anything you took away from it to use moving forward?
Well, the first half, man, I was very confident in it. Of course, as as you got one of the plays, the first half plus three was a play of my groups, and it was pretty, easy. It wasn't any sweat, but then Cone got injured, and I honestly didn't know anything about Drew. Is it Penny? Is how you pronounce the name? Is it Pine or Penny? I think it's Penny. The kid out of Connecticut who came in and he played great, man. The first series, of course, he had the little jitterbugs, man, but after he shook it off, man, that kid balled out, man. He really sparked the team, and after that, it was like an avalanche, man. And it was fourth quarter was unbelievable, man. We had a great time, man. It was real fun, man. Real fun. I'm glad that everybody won. I'm glad that everybody, was able to take advantage of the five-star pick.
Yeah, and it was a great way to start the show, right?
Right.
We're already off to a winning start, 1-0 on the Five Star Plays. So let's just get into this week. The first point is the team we just talked about, Cincinnati at Notre Dame +2. What are your thoughts on this game?
Hey, man, it's back to Notre Dame again, man. Notre Dame's catching 2 points. Strangely at home, I guess right now that the book is the gift that keeps on giving, man. Because I can't rationalize this number for anything in the world. I know that they like to crunch numbers, and it's based on them maybe running the game a million times, but I could run it back a million times in my head, and I still can't see Cincinnati going to South Bend and coming out of there with a victory. Um, I'll be looking at the money line on this game. It's only plus 110. And spread like I know that anytime you're looking at a plus two, it's strange to catch a plus 110, don't you think, is the money line? It's usually
Yeah, that is odd.
125, right?
Hmm.
125, 130, right?
Yeah.
Pretty low because they know that Notre Dame has a very strong chance of being victorious in this game. In my opinion, Cincinnati is overrated. Um, they literally just escaped out of Indiana with a victory. They covered at the end because of the fourth quarter, what happened. But if you watch that game, Indiana had full control of it. They were about to put them away. And then a very controversial targeting call was made against Indiana that gave Cincinnati back the ball. And that prevented them from going down 14 nothing before the half. They ended up getting a score before the half, kind of rallied the troops and were able to catch back up. But as you and I know, Indiana isn't much of a team this year. It's nothing like the team they had last year. I like Notre Dame a lot in this game, man. They have big playmakers on the outside. They have one of the best security blankets in America with Mike Mayer on the inside, the tight end. Um, and of course, I just trust Brian Kelly, man. Brian Kelly, he started the whole movement with the Cincinnati program and turned into an upper echelon program. I know it's been a long time since he's been to Notre Dame now, so a lot of people probably don't know that. But he's the grandfather of the Cincinnati system, man. Everything that's going over there, he started it. He's the root of it, and I'm sure he has close contact still with the university. Therefore, he's going to be very motivated for this game. He's not going to let Cincinnati, his old school, walk into his stadium and come out with a victory. This is a big game, has big implications on the college football playoffs. In these type of games, unless Saban's on the other side of the field, I always take Brian Kelly. So on this game here, I'm looking to go Notre Dame +2, and like I said, heavy on the plus 110 money line. Honestly, I don't expect it close. Jack Cohn, they're saying that they don't know if he's going to play or not. Me personally, I would rather if Penny starts, man. I really like how he plays. I feels like he spreads out the ball a little bit more than Cone. He's a little bit more mobile than him. Um, Regardless, either quarterback to see, and I expect a big weekend out of the running back Williams. He had a pretty basic game last week, but the kid is an electric talent, man, and the Badgers have a great run defense to slow them down. I don't expect that this weekend. I think he's going to get loose. So you guys take Notre Dame on that one, man.
All right, and I've just placed the bet, and I'm excited to take Brian Kelly going against the old school, the school where he made his name.
And
But
another
now it's
thing
time.
about that game, real briefly, spread not to
Uh huh.
cut you off, is
Oh
that
no,
I
go ahead.
forgot to also lay in there to let the people know is about Notre Dame's defensive coordinator, Marcus
Hmm.
Freeman. He's
Hmm.
probably the top young assistant in college football, man, and he was 4 years with Luke Fickell in Cincinnati, and now, of course, he works for Notre Dame. He's the defensive coordinator and kind of the man in waiting in Notre Dame, man, and I'm sure if anyone knows how to slow down Desmond Ritter, the star quarterback for Cincinnati, it's going to be him.
All right. Well, we'll be looking forward to that one, and I'm pretty happy to be on the side of Brian Kelly and Notre Dame there. Let's go into the second game that you put out for us today, and that's Michigan catching 1.5 traveling to Wisconsin. What do you think about this game? Can Harbaugh get it done?
Well, once again, we're going back to another team that we kind of have a lot of data on. We faded them last week, which is Wisconsin. This is about my fourth game of the year watching them. I watched all of their games, and as you know, I'm not impressed with Graham Mertz at all. I feel like he's a turnover machine. He has one touchdown, which I'm sure if you saw last week against Notre Dame, it was a great play by the tight end. He just floated it like 60 yards in there. The tight end makes a great adjustment on the ball, catches and goes yard. That's the only touchdown he's had this year. The rest of 6 interceptions. As you know, Michigan always has a tough defense. Greg Robinson over there coordinating. They always have great cornerbacks. So I don't expect them to move the ball much. Michigan also is going to have a very hard time moving the ball on a very stout Badgers defense. I know that the Badgers are going to be very, very inspired for this game with them coming off the loss to Notre Dame. At the end of the day, I have to take Michigan with those +2. And also, even though I don't bet a lot of overs and under, I would have to go to under 43 and a half. And the reason why is because it's worth. It's going to be a lot of bad weather there, a lot of rain that day, sloppy game. And that's the reason why I really, really, really like Michigan in this game with the short number. The
Hmm.
+2 is because it's going to probably come down to a field goal kicking contest, and it's going to come down who makes the most mistakes. I trust Cade McNamara at quarterback for Michigan protecting the ball a lot more than I trust Graham Mertz protecting the ball for Wisconsin. So in that game, I would definitely be leaning toward Michigan +2 and a Big Ten sloppy, grinded out, you know, 3 yards in the cloud of dust type of game. I won't be watching too much of it because it's going to be definitely a slow grinder. But yeah, I like Michigan loud in the game +2 and an ugly one.
All right, so we like Michigan and the under as they face off with Wisconsin. Let's go to the next game. Two teams I'm not as familiar with, so you're going to have to help me out here. Louisiana Monroe heads to Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina minus 34.5. What is your angle here?
Sorry, Warhawks. You know, I'm originally from Monroe, Louisiana, man. I moved to Houston as a young boy, but my whole
Mhm.
family is originally from Monroe, so I got love for Monroe, man. But the University of Louisiana Monroe, its football program, it's a little behind right now. They're one of the worst teams, pretty much you could say, in college football, man. I hate to say that is blatantly, but it's the truth. Um, they have the right man over there, and Terry Bowden, who's trying to get the program back started. They had an unbelievable upset last week. They beat Troy, which is no one thought that they would do that. I want to say they maybe were 2 touchdown or more. No, they probably were 3 touchdown underdogs. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact number, but they upset Troy, which was one of the favorites to win the conference. You know, they're in the cellar of the conference. But during that game, their offensive coordinator's son, who's the quarterback, the offensive coordinator is Rich Rodriguez, you know, for West Virginia. They used to coach West Virginia, Michigan. His son is Rhett Rodriguez, and he actually had his lung collapsed from an injury last week during that
Mm.
game, so he won't be available. So they'll be losing their trigger man, and they're going against one of the most explosive teams in college football on both the offensive side and the defensive side. I have a lot of respect for what they're doing in Coastal Carolina. They got stars everywhere, man. Starting first with their quarterback, man. The quarterback is this kid is going to be a franchise changer For some team who's lucky enough to draft a man, whoever picks up this kid is going to get a real uh, step up captain, ready to do whatever it takes to win type of guy with skills. And that's Grayson McCall, man. He's tough as nails. He can throw. He can run. Anytime we've seen in the past in college when a quarterback at his caliber takes a small school like this and lifts it into the national spotlight, usually those quarterbacks do pretty well in the NFL because it takes, a special type of talent to play with, lesser talent and make everyone better. And he's one of those type guys, man. He has a couple weapons on the outside, and Healy, who's explosive, great running game. And last year, Monroe kept it very close in Monroe. The game was in Louisiana, at Louisiana Monroe. They were able to keep the game very close. It came down to the fourth quarter, I want to say. And I think that Coastal Carolina, because of that, will be very focused. ULM will be flying high from Detroit victory, and they just don't have the manpower to match up. And I also think that Coastal Carolina's coach is very focused on them being that one team from outside the power conferences that gets in. And to do that, he knows weekly they're going to have to cover that number that's put up against these teams that they're playing. So I expect the game to be over by halftime. So definitely take Coastal Carolina minus 34 and a half.
All right, Coastal Carolina minus 34 and a half. Let's go into our next question of the 5 points. Number 4, can Liberty bounce back at UAB? What are your thoughts?
That's going to be a hard no for me, man. UAB's head coach, Bill Clark, he's one of the best in college football right now. His teams are very tough. The Blazers play smart and organized. They run great packages on offense and on defense, and they're just a really high-level program. Hugh Freeze and the Liberty Flames, they're explosive, man, offensively. They play fast, but it's also frantic. The team is a reflection of its star quarterback, and that's Malik Willis. Malik Willis is he's going to be a first round pick at quarterback, man. He has all of the tools. Uh, Unbelievable talent, man. He has a Hollister for an arm. Runs, I think, like a 4.2 in the 40. But he every game he tries to force a play. I've watched him play. I'm saying in his career, probably the last 3 years, 20 games he's played. Literally every one of those games, he's tried to make a play happen off a play that was dead that he should have just thrown it away and forced something, and he fumbles. Sometimes they get it back. Sometimes the other team gets it. But he makes a play like this every game because uh, it's the way he's being coached. He's not being coached to be disciplined, and that their lack of discipline, I think, is what's going to come down to them losing that game when they go to face Birmingham to face UAB. Excuse me. Um, you know, he's had 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's tough as nails, but at the end of the day, he's just a quarterback. The quarterback is a lot, but the other team he's playing, UAB, has the coach, and they have the better roster. So I look for the coach to outcoach Hugh Freeze, keep the ball away from the offense, drag the game out, make it very slow, and come out on top. UAB is a solid program, man, real solid. Liberty is a good program as well, but at this time, I trust Bill Clark a little bit more, so I'd be leaning UAB. It started out as a pick 'em, now it's a -2. It's -2.5 today at some of these shops.
All right, so 5 star likes Bill Clark and UAB and that matchup against Liberty. Let's go with the 5th point, and I think it's going to be a game that a lot of people are going to be talking about tomorrow. Can Ole Miss upset Alabama? What are your thoughts?
Well, an upset would be a small miracle, man. But Lane Kiffin can definitely has a shot to keep it within 2 touchdowns. The Rebels' offense is just as explosive, maybe even more explosive than Alabama's. It's the number one offense in the country, actually. So I guess by the numbers, it is. They're averaging 635 yards per contest. That's amazing. Matt Corral has been just outstanding, man. He's completing 70% of his passes, 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's also ran for 5 touchdowns. Bama isn't a slouch on D. They're still ranked in the top 20, but Ole Miss is giving all saving teams hell. You know that they're like 6-2 against the spread in the last 8 meetings in Alabama. They're 5-2 against the spread overall in the series. One thing you could always count on the SEC, even when Hugh Freeze was the coach of Mississippi, was Ole Miss giving Alabama a hell of a game. They were the one team. I'm a diehard LSU fan, and man, I've noticed over the last half a decade, Ole Miss always was giving Alabama a much better game than we have been. For some reason, besides the year that Joe Burrow was there, that's the only year that we were able to compete with them and put our offense on the standards to able to keep up with them. But Hugh Freeze and then next Lane Kiffin, they keep their offense so high octane, so high octane, man, that Ole Miss was able to always keep it within the number. And even when they had the bad hire in between Freeze and Kiffin, they still were able to cover. Some reason Ole Miss steps up big against Alabama, man, and I expect nothing different this time. I expect them to be able to keep it within the number. I'm not saying that an upset is out of the question. These are still kids. The quarterback for Alabama, he's a kid. This is first year starting. He's talented as could be, but at the end of the day, I don't think he's enough to carry the offense in such a way that they can cover the spread. Because as you know, Alabama's defense isn't as locked down and shut down as it used to be. For them to cover that number, they're going to have to outscore them. And I can't see him putting up 2 more touchdowns than Matt Corral. So it would
All right.
definitely be Ole Miss plus 15 and a half. If you caught it at that number, you're wonderful. It's dropped to 15 some places. I've seen 14 and a half. I've even seen some 14s offshore.
Yeah. 14 and a half seems pretty good. That hook might end up coming into play. So I will be with you there on Ole Miss. But let everybody know, what is the 5-star play of the week?
Well, we just rolled into the 5-star play of the day, and it's going to be what we just spoke about. Ole Miss plus 15 and a
All
half is
right.
what I called it at. Some shops, as I said before, 15, others are 14 and a half. I told you the reasoning. They're 6-2 in the series against them. They're 5-2 in the series, 6-2 in Alabama against the spread. I just actually on the show that we were speaking about when I was on the bench with Lance. Lance was telling me that what troubled him about the number was that Paul Feinbaum, myself, Pat Forty were all on the same side. Everyone was saying, "Hey, man, Ole Miss, Ole Miss, Ole Miss." So it kind of made him think like, "Hey, man, I don't know. It's going to be a lot of money on Ole Miss." But once again, man, we have to not always just trust the numbers. Sometimes you have to trust your eyes. And my eyes tell me, man, Ole Miss is the real, man. Their offense is the real deal. Lane Kiffin is a thorn in Nick Saban's side, always been. He'll be very motivated. He have his team motivated, man. He's going to do whatever it takes to cover that spread. They're going to fight hard for that money for you, man. So I'm definitely going to put my money on Ole Miss plus 15 and a half and give Lane Kiffin a chance to beat his mentor.
All right. Well, looks like there's a little bit of buyback because I go to place the 5-star play of the week. I've got plus 16 on Bookmaker right now. So,
That's even better. That's
yeah,
even better.
looks like Alabama took a little bit of money since
That's even
yesterday because
better.
this was at
So if
14
you
and a
guys got
half.
the 16, if you get the 16 right now with Ole Miss, jump all over it. A wise man
Yeah.
once told me, never bet against Tom Brady and never bet against Nick Saban. Well, last week I run a big bag with the Los Angeles Rams on the first half, on the second half, on the game, and on money line against Tom Brady. And this week, old man Nick's going down too. So we're gonna cover that spread. Let's go. Hotty toddy.
All right, so everybody, the 5-star play of the week, Old Miss, whatever number you can get as long as it's above 14 and a half, take
Right.
Old Miss to cover against Alabama in what's going to be a fantastic game. So
Fantastic.
5-star, thank you very much for showing up, sharing all this wonderful college knowledge you have. You got plenty of plays for us, so we're going to have an exciting action-packed Saturday and looking to move to 2-0 on the 5-star play of the week. Guys, we'll be back next Friday. It's 5-star. Thank you for joining us, and we will
All
see
right.
you guys.